Hi, everyone. Happy Friday afternoon. It's great to see all of you for our August website chat. We took part of the summer off, so this is our first time coming together again towards the end of the summer. I hope it's been great for all of you. Look forward to hearing about some of your summer reading activities and other things going on in your libraries. I want to thank you all for joining us. I don't have slide control today, so I'm looking to Rebecca to help me out as we advance the slides. Thank you so much. Just a reminder, I know most of you are website chat veterans, but please do rename yourself in Zoom to make sure we know who you are and where you're from. And as always, we love your questions, so feel free to share your questions in chat. Feel free to raise your hand, and we will ask for questions throughout the website chat today. So thanks again for being with us. Go ahead. Few things that we want to talk about today. If you could go back one slide, there we go. We have some staff updates and recognitions that we want to share. The commission held their meeting this past Wednesday, so we have an update from the commission meeting. And then Rebecca and Tracy are with me to talk about Library Count Week that's coming up, the process for our Library Services and Technology Act 5-year evaluation, and what's new in our MSL Learn platform. Go ahead. Starting with some staff updates, I want to acknowledge and congratulate both Jen Burnell and Tracy Cook for their years of service to the Montana State Library and Montana Libraries. Jen was recognized for 15 years of service at our commission meeting on Wednesday. We first hired her 15 years ago as our technology trainer when we had broadband technology opportunity grant funds many, many years ago. So under that grant program, she led a lot of our digital literacy training that was made available to libraries following that Great Recession. And I think some of you may have worked with her in that role in that time. And then it was shortly after that work that we were able to hire her on as the coordinator for the Montana History Portal. And she's doing such a fantastic job building that collection. She's seen that platform change through different platforms, migrated that content. She's built fantastic relationships with the variety of contributors from around the state. She's a great supervisor to Zach, who is now on our team, and all of their work to make sure that people are accessing history, contributing to history, and making use of that great resource that we have in the state of Montana. So we're really fortunate to have Jen on our team. And then we also acknowledged Tracy for 10 years, but it's really plus because Tracy has been with us for well beyond the 10 years of her current stint working as a consultant and now our lead consulting and learning librarian here at the State Library. Tracy actually started at the State Library before I did. So in the early 2000s, I remember I was in grad school down at the University of Arizona, and people kept asking me if I knew Tracy Cook, who worked for the Montana State Library, and I didn't know her. But I very soon after got a chance to meet her, worked with her in her role as a consultant for several years at the State Library. She left us for a few years, and then we had the opportunity to hire her back, and that hiring back has now been 10 years. So it's just amazing to have had the chance to work with her as a colleague for all of these years. And I think it goes without saying, but we all appreciate how much Tracy does for Montana Libraries. So Tracy, thank you for your service. I wanted to let you all know that we've made just a couple of updates to some of our staffing. Rebecca is now serving as our library data and systems manager. So in addition to her work as our state data coordinator, she's taken over some of the supervisory responsibilities for Savannah and Gil's team supporting our systems like Montana Library to Go and the Courier, as well as Amy Marchwick and the shared catalog team here. So we're glad that Rebecca has that opportunity to continue to grow with the state library. And then Marilyn Bennett has joined the consulting and learning team supporting Talking Books. Marilyn has been our outreach and electronic resources librarian and Talking Book supervisor for a number of years now. And based on some changes that we've made in how we're supporting our Talking Book program under a contract with the state of Utah, and how we're wanting to do more support for that program through libraries, as a program through libraries, as well as opportunities to support more adult learning and accessibility work in libraries, we decided it would be a better fit to have her in our consulting and learning team. And so we recently made that change as well. And so she's part of the team working under Tracy. And then I just wanted to make a quick shout out to both Savannah and Sean here at the State Library. You may have seen in one of our recent newsletters some information about some savings for career participants as a result of some savings that was necessary under the fuel surcharge that we were being charged for based on the number of stops in that contract. Savannah had realized not long ago that it looked like we were being overcharged for that fuel surcharge. And she and Sean were really dogged in running that down and really understanding and being able to demonstrate the fact that we were being overcharged. And that work resulted in about $8,000 of savings that is being split between the state library and the career participating libraries. So again, you should see some information from Savannah about that savings and what it means for your library if you're on the courier. And again, just a big shout out to Savannah and Sean for their diligence in monitoring that, tracking down the issue, and working really hard to make sure that libraries were credited with the amount that they were owed. All right, let's go on to the next slide. So again, the State Library Commission held their regular August business meeting this past Wednesday. It was a little bit shorter meeting. They had just one major action item, and that action item involved our Montana State Reference Network, also known as the Real-Time Network, which you may have heard me describe as a network of continuously operating reference stations that provide highly accurate location information through those stations and a network of GPS satellites. That program has been operating under a subscriber model for a couple of years with the long-term goal of making that program self-sustaining. And unfortunately, we really haven't seen the kind of subscribership that we had hoped to see in this point in the program's adoption. And so after some careful evaluation, the State Library Commission has directed staff to pursue the necessary legislation to end the state library's involvement with that network operation. And so we will be going through the process of creating that legislation and working through the legislative process to achieve that kind of outcome. So you'll probably hear us talking about that legislation over the course of the upcoming 2027 legislative session. Another thing I wanted to make note of was a discussion that the commission had about wanting to provide some more balanced perspective in the kinds of courses that are offered from the state library. Commissioner Burnett brought up some opportunities for some coursework that he's been researching based on information developed by some of the heterodoxy library movement. It's really focused on supporting the idea of library neutrality and balanced collections. After a long discussion, the commission decided that they would work through the continuing education subcommittee that's been formed to consider what that coursework might look like and go through the process of proposing courses as described in our new continuing education policy. The meeting recording for that meeting is available online. We'll soon have the meeting minutes available as well, but you can access that recording through Aspen for the commission event if you have any interest in learning more or hearing more about those discussions. And then I wanted to make mention of the fact that our next meeting, the October meeting, will be held in Miles City. Some of you know that the State Library Commission likes to be able to visit libraries during the year to hold their meetings in different places. We were really grateful to Sarah Peterson for inviting the State Library Commission to hold their meeting in October in Miles City. And in fact, as a result of that, the commission recently amended their bylaws to state that the State Library Commission will make every effort to hold their October meeting in some library around the state, rotating based on kind of a federation model so that they can attend meetings in libraries regionally around the state. So we're looking forward to coming to Miles City in October. We will be joining the Sagebrush Federation meeting, which is happening the Tuesday, the day before. And Sarah, again, thank you for coordinating that meeting so that commissioners have a chance to see and be a part of that Federation meeting. We're still working on some of the meeting logistics, but the commission has also expressed interest in holding a sort of conversations with commission type discussion following that Federation meeting. So Sarah, I'll be reaching out to you and talking to you about how we can coordinate that if librarians are interested in attending. And then the next morning on Wednesday, the commission will hold their regular October business meeting. Just a reminder that one of the regular business items at that October meeting is review of your Federation reports. So you'll be working on your Federation reports, and that's always a great chance to hear and for the commission to hear about the great work that's going on in your Federation. So looking forward to that meeting in October. All right. Are there any questions before we move on? Any questions about the commission meeting? All right. Take it away, Rebecca.
All right. Hello, I'm Rebecca Camp. I am the Library Data and Systems Manager here at the State Library. And I'm excited to talk to you about an effort we've been working on called Library Count Week, which will take place September 20th through the 26th. And during that week, libraries will collect a snapshot of how their communities are using library services. We'll be asking libraries to report their open hours as well as a count of library visits, reference transactions, community resource referrals, public internet computer sessions, and Wi-Fi sessions. And then alongside those numbers, patrons will also have an opportunity to complete a short survey to share how the library makes a difference in their life. And the way this will work is each library branch will have its own login to the Count Week tool, which is being offered through Counting Opinions, the same software that we use for our public library survey and our library standards and Federation reports. And once that data is collected, it'll be summarized system-wide so that you can use those numbers as your estimates within the public library survey. And on a practical level, you can use whatever counting method that works best for your library throughout that week. So that might be a clicker or an electric door counter, or even tally marks on a clipboard. And then at the end of each day, you can enter your counts into the tool. If it's easier for your workflow, you can even enter those counts directly into the count tool as you go throughout the day. We'll cover how that tool works and give you a live demonstration during our training, which is on August 26th at 1 p.m. We'll also record that training to make it available for you if you're not able to attend that. There's no registration required. We do invite all library staff, so that might be your library director, but it also could be your staff that work at your information desks that are collecting the data throughout the day. And then, as I mentioned earlier, all that data that you collect can be used in your FY27 public library survey. So all those metrics we're counting are the ones that you can provide an estimate for. And so this data will also be available right away for you so that you can help communicate how your library is being used and the value it provides to your community. And so for this part of Library Account Week, I'm going to turn it over to Tracy.
Thanks, Rebecca. So my portion of this is working with Mark Moss. Some of you may have taken one of his sessions. He has led two sessions for us, one for the Ready to Read Rendezvous and one at a fall workshop a couple of years ago. And Mark is a professional storyteller, and he has a gift for taking even mundane, everyday stories and pulling out that kernel of power over the value to the person that's involved in the story. And so he has been working with Rebecca and I, and he will be working with librarians at the MLA conference to help them take this information, both the qualitative data from the patron survey, as well as your own observations and the quantitative data, to turn it into a story that you can tell about the value of the library. And it can be used with community leaders, local government leaders, even with grant funders. What we find is sometimes patrons are actually the best at explaining the value of the library. And Mark's job is kind of helping you understand the elements of storytelling so that you can pull that all together and be able to use it to communicate the library's value and to gain support for the library as well. And Mark is going to be dropping in at the beginning of the August 26th webinar just to introduce himself. And as I said, he's been a great colleague working with Rebecca and I throughout this process. And we're really looking forward to this becoming an ongoing effort as well.
Thanks, Tracy. And, regarding the ongoing nature of this, looking ahead, we are planning to offer a second count week. Right now, we're tentatively looking at March 7th through the 13th. You may have noticed in those data elements that you could provide an estimate on in your public library stats, it does request that you use 2 weeks worth of data. So that's why we're looking at doing this twice. And it also gives you another opportunity to collect more patron stories to give context to those numbers. Our goal is to have most libraries participate in Count Week so we can get a clear image of what's happening around the state. And so we're working on some publicity materials that you can use to share with your patrons, including a newsletter article, a Facebook post, and a YouTube short. And we'll also have a QR code you can share on your information desk so that so that patrons can just scan that QR code and take the survey directly on their cell phone. Next up, I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about our Library Services and Technology Act, LSTA, 5-year evaluation. So LSTA is a federal program that's administered through the Institute of Museum and Library Services Grants to States program. In Montana, LSTA funding helps support statewide programs, services, and Montana State Library staff who deliver those programs. Many of these are services you're probably familiar with and use regularly, including your library consulting team, Montana Shared Catalog, Montana Library to Go, the Courier, Montana History Portal, our lifelong learning programs, continuing education, and much more as well. And every 5 years, we evaluate how these LSTA funded activities have supported the goals in our 5-year plan. And we measure what difference they've made for libraries and communities. We also like to look at where there's opportunities to improve. This evaluation is also required as part of that federal grants to states program. And part of that is a requirement to have a third party, a neutral party evaluation. And so we've contracted with a company called Alliance for Library Impact. And they're going to serve as that third party evaluator and help us gather and assess your feedback on these different services. So you can expect to see some opportunities to participate in this evaluation, beginning with focus groups and surveys in October and November. And I just wanted to take a moment to recognize that I know October and November are very busy times for libraries as well as for us at the State Library, but your feedback is so important for this program. Your experience helps us understand what's working well. It helps us see areas that we can improve, and it ensures that we have the information we need to form our next 5-year plan so that it's as relevant as possible for libraries and the communities you serve. So I just want to impress upon you that this is a very important opportunity. And it's also a chance for us to communicate how we're using these federal grants in our communities and to have an impact on our local libraries. And that's all I have for LSTA and Count Week. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any about either of those.
Any questions for Rebecca or Tracy? I think you all know how much we at the State Library love data. We love stories. And it's because we value that input to help us plan how to provide the best services for all of you and how to talk about the important work that's going on in your libraries. So we hope you share that value and are willing to be active participants in these processes. Tracy, are you or Colette taking the lead on MSL Learn?
I think I told Tracy that I would be willing to speak. And it is Friday, so I hope you don't mind the little gifts and little reactions and that sort of thing. When Jennie said that we love data, she is not kidding, and not just for data's sake, but um, storytelling and our ability to show our value. It really relies on information that we can share. And so, in the spirit of sharing, I just wanted to have a couple of bullet points. And if there are questions, if any of you have not seen MSL Learn before, anyone with an Okta login can take courses. And if you're working towards a certificate, those credits are all tracked and managed in MSL Learn. Each course that you complete, you can get a badge and a certificate for your own records and files. But again, those badges and certificates are part of accumulating credits that can result in issuing a certificate. I put together about 7, I think is the count right now, of how-to videos in our YouTube channel for how to create your profile, how to interact, how to enroll in courses and that sort of thing. So again, if you haven't been swimming in the MSL Learn pool yet, that's one way to kind of get a taste before you jump into the deep end of the pool. Also, if you like to read things, there are many knowledge base articles that are associated with those videos as well. There is, in fact, a video that shows you how to submit a help desk ticket. And so if that's something that's been a stopping point for you, you might just check out that video first. But I'm here, Tracy, reach out to your consultants, and for the purposes of engaging with continuing education opportunities that are created by or sponsored or shared through the state library, MSL Learn is your place to go. And with that, I turn it back to Jennie for wrap up, or if there are any questions.
Yeah, any questions for Colette about MSL Learn? I think you'll all appreciate how much more modern it is, be able to take and track your courses. All right. Just a reminder about some upcoming training opportunities. Tracy and her team have been leading a great human resources series, so we hope that you'll take advantage of those opportunities. We previously had one about the importance of hiring great people, an upcoming training on providing meaningful feedback to your employees, and then the process of offboarding or saying goodbye. I already mentioned the October commission meeting coming up, and always please check Aspen for any upcoming events. Watch for our newsletters for really important updates on learning opportunities and other information coming from the State Library. We really appreciate your time and attention and joining us today. With that, I'm happy to ask for any final questions on anything we covered here, or maybe something we didn't cover that you're curious about from the State Library. We can't emphasize it enough. We love data. So we always appreciate any opportunities to continue to improve these website chats. So if you want to take a few minutes and complete the evaluation, there's a QR code to make that easier for you. And thank you very much for joining us on a Friday in August in Montana. And I hope you all get out and enjoy some of this cooler, hopefully less smoky weather. Thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend.